Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be speaking about the $1925 and everything that you want to know about it, from the different values based off of what condition or if there are any VAMs on the coin. We're also going to be discussing the general history of the series and of this date, and then we'll also talk about some 1925 mint errors at the end, but the basic history, so the peace dollars were brought in 1921 to 1928, and then again in 34 and 35, initially because of the Pittman Act, which basically was supplying a bunch of U.S. minted silver dollars to Great Britain so that they could back up their guarantee and their colonies would have confidence in the money that they were providing. So that was the sort of genesis. They also were commemorating the end of World War I, as they wanted the world peace. So this is the design that came about. They generally were being minted in the West, or at least they were minted often in Philadelphia, but then used in the West, just because people cared more about having the hard money over there. And then they brought them back in 1964, struck over 300,000, but melted every last one after it was clear that these would just be going into the hands of coin dealers and making people money as opposed to being used as functional currency in the 60s. Now, in terms of this specific date, so 1923, especially at Philadelphia, there are just massive amounts of these made. The mintage tapers off a little bit, but is still pretty strong in 1925, so there's not really any rarity, whether it's uncirculated coins, as the mint often was pretty high quality at Philadelphia. It's more San Francisco where it's tougher to find higher mint state coins. There are a few of these that are going to have spotting or staining, maybe slightly more so than 22 and 23, but it's not like a hugely rare date. At one point, they thought that they were rare in mint state. The early 1940s, there were some auction records where these seemed to be marketed as being super expensive, but a lot of mint bags of 1,000 coins came out in the following decades, and it was pretty clear that these were just like any of the other more common dates. 10,198,000 was the official mintage, and you can find them pretty cheap. Mint State 63 coins only trading for about $50, $55, $60, and it depends on eye appeal and everything, but there's really not much of a jump until you hit 65 to 66, and then Mint State 67, 1925 coins are going to be quite expensive in that $4,000 range, but there's not huge conditional rarity. In terms of the VAMs, these are little things to look for. I highlight the top 50 and Elite 30. I think we've just got two top 50 VAMs, and it's going to be these doubled rays. It's called the doubled shoulder, but you can see the doubled rays all above dollar on the reverse, as well as over here, sort of the doubled profile of a shoulder, and there's some doubling in the leaves below dollar. So not huge value differences. I mean, Mint State 63, I guess that's like a $120 difference. Mint State 65 at 3 times. So actually that is pretty significant. And it's not a really, really well-known VAM, so you can look for these in coins that are already certified and see if you can pick something up that others have not. There's also this missing ray one to look for. And you can see here by the talons, this ray is missing. There's also a weakened ray by the eagle's shoulder, as well as this die chip that's pretty raised. So it's not like a huge cut, but it should be significant. And, these are more like a 2 times in value as opposed to the 3 times that the double shoulder was, but still, again, worth looking for. People often overlook it. In terms of some of the mint errors, we've got an obverse struck through. Basically, something came through between the dies in the planchet and, was unable to have a full striking through really in that E in Liberty. This sold for $140 in Mint State 65 about 5 years ago when prices were slightly weaker, but wasn't a huge issue. This cracked planchet coin probably was double what it would have been otherwise worth. The, planchet either maybe had an impurity or, the force just didn't stay together when it got struck and came out the other end as a $65 coin. And then lastly, this reverse lamination. This was only $50 in AU58. I would want to own that. It's a really nice reverse lamination piece, 2020. And yeah, that is pretty much the just errors. Shows you it's not always huge errors. Sometimes just small little things, but always fun to see the mint history of what was going on then. I just think the big thing, look for this doubled shoulder and rays, as well as the missing ray VAMs, and understand that they're not super rare, but sort of appreciate the history of the Philadelphia Mint in the 20s, and I'll see you on some of my other videos. thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like the video, comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And I also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and some other social media platforms. You can also go to my main channel website, treasuretownYT.com, to learn more about the channel and sort of stay in contact. I also will eventually host all of these videos on coinsmetalscards.com, which will be both news, marketplace, and coin information. I do have the goal of eventually getting pretty much every US coin, date, mint mark, denomination on the channel with a similar video to the one that you just watched, and that will likely all be hosted there. And then I also have treasuretowncoins.com, which is sort of my coin dealing wing, coin dealing only entity that is a little bit less focused on content production. So thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos. I also have videos that are not just the date, mint mark, denomination recap in this format, so you can check some of those out, and I'll have fun seeing you there.